Hello everybody, JGC Anime here, and welcome back to another video where today I'm going to be reviewing the newest My Hero Academia movie currently out in the times, My Hero Academia Heroes Rising. This movie, I was a little hesitant when going in because if people have seen my last review, which will be linked in the description of the last My Hero Academia movie, I thought the last one was bad, generic, and really it was not good. I really did not like the film at all. I really did not like the film. So I wasn't exactly going in with high hopes for this one. I was hoping it would be better, but I wasn't thinking, oh, this is going to be a fantastic movie. Because again, I'm just an okay My Hero Academia fan. I don't treat it like it's the god of all anime. It's just an anime I enjoy watching. But yeah, let's hop right into this. So, a basic story summary about My Hero Academia Heroes Rising is that the main character, Deku, and all of his friends are now on an island off somewhere random where they're doing hero work to support the people of the island. Although, there's also this new villain in the movie who has the ability to absorb quirks, who, after needing a regeneration quirk to keep himself alive, is going to the island to find a kid who has the ability that can keep him alive. And thus, because of this, a bunch of crazy and really interesting stuff ensues, and we have two new characters that are the little kid and also his sister. It's very interesting, but I'll get into that in a minute when I talk about what I like and dislike. So, yeah. Basically, the whole adventure is kind of like your simple on a certain location type thing, is similar to the last movie where they didn't exactly do much, but I'll say what I have to say about this film. So one thing I definitely liked about this film is that its story was better. I definitely found the story in this one to be a lot more interesting and entertaining. Although there were a few issues from time to time, I thought it generally stood out a lot better. I thought the characters were really good in it, and I thought it was pretty good. One thing I'd have to say I disliked is definitely some of the pacing and the villains. The villains were not well executed. I was very confused about who they were, and besides the main villain's backstory, I didn't know why I was supposed to care about these people. I was completely lost, and when they were defeated in the end, which, oh well, what do you think? It's a series about superheroes. You think the villain's not going to lose in the end. It's just, it was kind of disappointing that we didn't really get to learn more about these villains before they went head to head against our heroes. I just think that's a major flaw in movie villains. They don't try to wrap up anything with any previous villains. They just say, oh, nope, those aren't TV show villains. We have to make them movie villains who never appear again. And yeah, it was a bit disappointing that we didn't get to develop them more, because I would have been more interested in learning their backstories, because these were some of the most interesting villains by far, which isn't saying much since My Hero Academia doesn't have that many interesting villains. Anyway, so yeah, if I have to say some spoiler-free thoughts, I'd say that this film had a lot of good elements and bad elements, and it has some parts I think really stood out, which I'll go into more in the spoiler section of this review. But yeah, I definitely think this film stood over the last one, to say the least. But I'll explain more in the spoiler section. I'm going to give a timestamp right here about when the spoiler section ends, so if you just want to see my final thoughts on the conclusion, here's a timestamp, and now I'm going to count down from 5 for the spoiler section to begin. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I definitely found the main villain's quirk in this movie interesting. The ability to absorb quirks and his body was genetically enhanced to do so was definitely an interesting idea. But I feel like they didn't really go anywhere with it. Like, sure, they had a few moments of suspense, like one of my favorite but most terrifying scenes in the movie when it looked like he was going to absorb Deku's quirk, or Midoriya's quirk. I thought that was really gonna be interesting, but then he's like, oh no, I can't handle their power, I'm done. Bit disappointing, but it was okay. I definitely think it could have been more interesting. It could have been more intense, and I don't know, just I don't know, just the whole premise of the movie was very hard to follow. Like, I understood the island part where the heroes working on the island, but the villains, again, I don't know anything about these villains. Other than that one girl character looks very similar to a mix of Midnight and this other girl from season 4 of My Hero Academia, which I'm not going to put either of those on screen because I'm too lazy to. But yeah, I really didn't understand some of these characters. I didn't know why they were here, why we were supposed to care about them, and why they existed. It just felt like some of them were really empty. Besides the main villain, who kind of got some development and character, like progression compared to the others, I really didn't see much in the villains. That's probably one of the weak aspects, I think, of My Hero Academia. I'm really not a fan of their bad guys. I have more fun in their school life than I do in them fighting villains. Just personal opinion, I think the villains are the weakest part of the show and the entire franchise in general. I definitely think it's better with just the kids with superpowers going to school. That's probably my favorite aspect. But I can think of one part of this film I absolutely loved. The final move of Midoriya and Bakugo. You know, his, I'm not sure, best friend, best rival, I don't know. But when it looks like Midoriya gives up his quirk to give it to Bakugo to help them win, I was just like, holy freaking crap. That's amazing. But then they just backtrack immediately and say, oh, nope, he didn't actually lose the quirk. Bakugo doesn't have the quirk now. He forgot everything. That was dumb. I really was disappointed with that. I thought it would have been cool if, like, they both got the quirk, but the fact that they just backtracked as if the whole movie almost never happened was pretty disappointing. I definitely think that one moment almost got ruined by how it was all just immediately rewound as if never happened. But that scene was still very impactful, and I have gone back and rewatched the scene once or twice now, because I just think that scene is just so good. And the animation in this movie was decent. It definitely felt like your normal My Hero Academia action, to say the least. But it was still fun. I thought it was pretty good. There's not really too much I could say about this movie that isn't going to sound dumb, because again, I think there were a few parts that were really generic in this film, like how the kids were immediately inspired by all of Midoriya and Bakugo and all that, because this was clearly a Bakugo and Midoriya movie. So I did enjoy that, because I really enjoy Midoriya's character and I enjoy Bakugo's character a lot. While I have to say my personal favorite is definitely Todoroki out of the three who have had the most focus. Sadly, Todoroki was kind of like backpedaled in this film. He's kind of there, but at the same time, he's not. You just see him fight a bit, and then after that, nothing else. He gets like one scene of development in the entire thing. It was pretty disappointing. But overall, I definitely think that this film's like character aspects were good for mainly Deku and Bakugo. I keep saying Deku and Midoriya. I'm just gonna call them whoever I want at the time. But yeah, I definitely think this movie was a them movie. And overall, I think they did a pretty good job of the movie. I had a lot of fun watching them on screen, and I definitely look forward to more adventures with Bakugo and Midoriya in the future. I think another thing I really liked about this film was how it didn't take place in the past. Like, it takes place in the current time before Season 5 starts, which I am looking forward to Season 5. Even if I am going to wait for the dub like I did for the movie and everything else from My Hero Academia. Yes, I'm a dub person most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. Don't judge me. And I think that it's going to be fine. But I was definitely happy with how this movie takes place after all that. I'm just not really a fan of movies that take place before an event, because then we just think, okay, why are you making this seem so suspenseful? We know they're gonna be okay. I just hate those so much. You know they're gonna be fine. You know they're gonna be okay. So the suspense is gone. That's why I was so scared when Midoriya gave Bakugo his quirk. Because of the fact that it was this was the newest storyline in the series, I thought it was extremely empowering, and it was just so good. It was sadly ruined though by, again, the ending, but overall I definitely think this movie stood out a lot better than the first one. I think it was more entertaining, I think the plot was better, I think the action is better, and I definitely think that I could rewatch this film multiple times. So, we're at the conclusion. My final thoughts? This film was 10 times better than the last film. I despise the last film almost as much as I despise Batman v Superman, and oh my gosh, this movie just really blew away my expectations, which isn't saying much since my expectations weren't really that high, but I thought this film was actually a really good enjoyment. I may even go and rewatch it once or twice more. It definitely improved a lot where the last film failed, and I definitely think it was a better movie by far. It definitely gets me hyped for season 5. Speaking of which, I do need to make reviews for those other seasons, so I will be doing that soon. But yeah, I think this film was really good, and I rate it a 7 out of 10. Definitely a major jump in quality, and overall, it was really good. And if there's one other thing I'd have to add, it's probably the darkest thing I've seen from My Hero Academia since the first half of the season 4 story arc, which was really good, which I will be reviewing that in the future. So yeah, I hope you all enjoy this small review of mine, and I shall see you all around. Peace!